Greetings, adventurer, and welcome to the Elder Scrolls Library. My name is Aurelius, your lore master, and today we are reading and discussing the Amulet of Kings. The book The Amulet of Kings appears in 3 of the Elder Scrolls games: Oblivion, Skyrim, and Elder Scrolls Online. The book gives a brief history of the origin of the Amulet of Kings and some idea of what should happen if the line of Alessia should falter. Let's get into the Amulet of Kings. The Amulet of Kings by Wenengris Monhana. In the first years of the First Era, a powerful race of elves called the Ayleids, or the Heartland High Elves, ruled central Tamriel with an iron hand. The high and haughty Ayleids relied on their patrons, the treacherous Daedra lords, to provide armies of Daedra and dead spirits. With these fearless magical armies, the Ayleids preyed without mercy upon the young races of men, slaughtering or enslaving them at their whim. On behalf of the suffering human races, Saint Alessia, the first in the line of Cyrodiils, sought the aid of Akatosh, the dragon god of time, and ruler of the noble Aedra. Akatosh, looking with pity upon the plight of men, drew precious blood from his own heart and blessed Saint Alessia with this blood of dragons, and made a covenant that so long as Alessia's generations were true to the dragon blood, Akatosh would endeavor to seal tight the gates of Oblivion, and to deny the armies of Daedra and undead to their enemies, the Daedra-loving Ayleids. In token of this covenant, Akatosh gave to Alessia and her descendants the Amulet of Kings and the eternal dragon fires of the Imperial City. Thus does Alessia become the first gem in the Cyrodiilic Amulet of Kings. The gem is the red diamond in the middle of the amulet. This is the symbol of the Empire, and later taken as the symbol of the Septim line. It is surrounded by 8 other gems, one for each of the divines. So long as the Empire shall maintain its worship of Akatosh and his kin, and so long as Alessia's heirs shall bear the Amulet of Kings, Akatosh and his divine kin maintain a strong barrier between Tamriel and Oblivion, so that mortal man need never again fear the devastating summoned hosts of the Daedra lords. But if the Empire should slacken in its dedication to the 9 divines, or if the blood of Alessia's heirs should fail, then shall the barriers between Tamriel and the Daedric realms fall, and Daedra worshippers might summon lesser Daedra and undead spirits to trouble the races of men. A nice, very short account of how the Amulet of Kings came to be. Alessia, also known as Alessia the Slave Queen, didn't become Saint Alessia until her death in the year 266 of the First Era. On her deathbed, she was canonized, at least in some fashion, by Akatosh, and her soul was placed in the central red diamond of the Amulet of Kings. This forever sealed the covenant between Akatosh and Alessia's descendants. It is believed by some that she fully achieved apotheosis upon her death, some stating that as a god she became the wife to Shor or Auriel, or both. In any case, she is widely considered to be the patron saint of humanity. Alessia, as is with most names, is not her name at all. It's actually a title. It's not even an accurate pronunciation of the title. The title that was given to her early on by her followers was Al-Esh, meaning High Highness, the Elder Scrolls version of Your Majesty. Over time, the pronunciation of the title changed to eventually become Alessia. Despite it having been a title, it is now used only in reference to Saint Alessia herself or any geographic locations named after her. Alessia makes a pact with Akatosh. If she leads people in worship of Akatosh and his kin, the ones we would call the Aedra, then Akatosh will work to keep at bay the forces that reside in the plains of Oblivion from invading the mortal realm of Mundus. The Oblivion remaster is all the rage right now, and was actually part of the inspiration for me going on this journey through the Elder Scrolls in-game books. Spoiler for part of the main story of Oblivion, I guess, but the reason I bring this up is because it plays into the Oblivion crisis. The Mythic Dawn cult assassinates Emperor Uriel Septim VII, and the Amulet of Kings is stolen. This is part of the reason the Oblivion gates are able to be opened up at all. Because the Amulet of Kings is no longer worn by the heir, the pact is violated and the plains of Oblivion grow stronger. Or at least the Daedra's ability to enter the mortal plane. I'm not sure when this book is meant to have been written. I couldn't find any information on the author in an attempt to find any date, but clearly it is meant to have been written sometime in the Third Era. We know this from two things that the book mentions. It says the red diamond as a symbol was taken as the symbol for the Septim line. The Septim line didn't start until Tiber Septim ascended to the throne in the year 854 of the Second Era, and Tiber Septim died in the year 38 of the Third Era. The book must have been written after the death of Tiber Septim and his ascension to godhood, because near the end of the book it says, and I quote, "If the empire should slacken in its dedication to the 9 divines," unquote, then the barrier between Tamriel and the Daedric realms would fall. I take issue with this. This line reads as if it's just mid-Third Era propaganda, trying to force Talos worship across the Empire. Don't get me wrong, he did ascend to godhood. I don't have any issue recognizing that, but calling him one of the divines is just blatantly incorrect. The pantheon of divines aren't the only gods that exist or are worshipped, but the divines specifically are the gods who are the Aedra, those who help to create the mortal realm of Mundus, and in it, the planet Nirn on which the continent of Tamriel resides. Trying to call Talos one of the divines is just incorrect and often done simply to spite the elves because they hate it. That's about everything that the book The Amulet of Kings talks about or mentions. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what you think about this book in the comments below. And may the blessings of the 8 divines be upon you.